Happy Fri-YAY, friends! Okay, well, one of my favorite type of cards to see are white on white, kind of that clean and simple look. And so we are going to create that today using one of our newer stamp sets and dies, the Fern Flora Bundle. So let's get started. All right, so here is the Fern Flora Bundle. It's a stamp set and dies. There is also optional coordinating paper and an optional coordinating embossing folder. But today we are just going to use the stamp set and die bundle. So let me show you today's card. It is that clean and simple kind of white on white, beautiful look. And we even have white on white with some fun inside. So I can't wait to show you how to do this. We're going to do some blending. So we've got some technique today, as well as just a beautiful, fun card. So here are the dies. There are dies that cut out the images. Today, though, we're going to be using the standalone dies, and we're going to be using Thankful for You as the sentiment, and our banner die, which I love when a set comes with one of those that coordinates. You can stamp it as well. We're just going to use it plain today, but it is going to create this beautiful card. So I've already got some of our card pieces and things cut for us today. As always, just a reminder for those of you that are new, you can go to my blog at stampandqueenbee.com, and there is a pop-up that will prompt you to sign up for my weekly Buzz Bulletin. And so that is where I share all of the measurements for each weekly card. I send it out in an email form to all my email subscribers, so you won't have to write down any measurements today. I have that free printable PDF for you to download as just a thank you for watching, for liking, subscribing, shopping in my online store, participating in my classes, all the things. It's just a little extra thank you for you because I absolutely appreciate each and every one of you. All right, so we've got our card base here. This is thick basic white. I've already scored it, and we're just going to grab our bone folder, fold this in half, and we're just going to burnish this right along that score line. And I like to flip it over and do the other side as well, and then I know it will just lay flat. We've got a top layer that is basic white, so white on white. And then we've got one more layer, so white on white on white, which is what I really think makes this card pop. And that's what is going to be our focal layer that we will do some detailing on. So I'm just going to move these to the side. We're also going to need another inside basic white layer that we will be adding to as well. So I did already run through our die cut machine these four. So these are the standalone dies, and I just did those on basic white as well. So they're already die cut for us. We'll just put those up there for now. And with our smaller layer here, just to make sure, this is our focal layer, basic white here. And I'm gonna actually use some Strawberry Slush. So this is one of our in colors. I love it. It's a nice, bright, kind of pinky melony color. And I've got my blending brush here. So this is my little organizing trick. So with all of my in color blending brushes, I save one of those little small zip baggies that you get with like embellishments or something. And I keep the inked end of my brush in there so that if I have these in a drawer, which is where I keep my in color brushes, then they don't get on top of each other and the inks don't, you know, clash with each other. So we're just going to get a little bit of this, and actually let me grab my grid paper here because I just like to be able to show you this, the difference, and it pops a little more on here. And then also I can just kind of make sure that I don't have too much ink, that I don't get a big blob. So with this technique, I'm gonna start actually in the middle. Normally we start off the paper and kind of blend in. This one I'm gonna start in the middle and kind of blend out. So I like to keep my thumb or finger, either one, wherever you have more control, kind of towards the edge of the handle here. And it just gives me a little more control of the pressure. And so I'm just gonna start in the middle there and blend going out. I'm not going all the way to the edges. I really just want that center with a little bit of color so that our white die cuts kind of pop on the page there. Okay, so that looks good. I've got just that kind of center part. If one is a little more darker than the other, that is okay. It's gonna soften up as we do a couple of more things. So let's just move our Strawberry Slush ink out of the way here. And I'm gonna bring in my Wink of Stella. You know, she's my favorite. And we're gonna do two things here with Wink of Stella. So first, we're going to add this, let me bring this in, this splatter. Do you see this splatter? One of my favorite things to do is to splatter, and Wink of Stella, oh, she makes it just beautiful. So I've got my Wink of Stella brush here, and I'm just going to squeeze it kind of into the cap here, because I want to see, do you see here in the barrel where you see a bunch of that coming through? That's what I want. And then I've got it kind of on the edge of the cap here, the brush, and I'm just going to flick it against the inside of the cap of my brush. And you can see, I hope, on camera, do you see all that beautiful speckling? So you can do this as much or as little as you want. Of course, the more you do it, the more sparkly it becomes. But it's really subtle. That's why I love Wink of Stella, because it's glitter and shimmer, but it is subtle and it doesn't have to be, you know, in your face sparkle. So we've got that, and we're gonna let this dry, but do you see, I think the camera's picking those up. Do you see those beautiful sparkles? Oh, I love them. Okay, so we're gonna set that up there to dry for a second. And I'm actually gonna bring in this biggest leaf die cut, and we're gonna speckle the same way with our same Wink of Stella, just on this one as well. So it may not show up on camera, but I promise you on the layer, this really makes it pop. So I'm getting real close with this one because I really want those speckles on there, and I want them to kind of be bigger. So let's see if I can get the camera. Do you see how we've got kind of those dots on there? I think it's picking it up, but it looks stunning when we put this on our layer here in a second. So I'll let that dry, and then let's stamp our sentiment here. So I've got our banner die cut. That's part of the dies in that Fern and Flora. So this one here, I've just already die cut it for us. And I'm gonna actually use Secret Sea ink for our sentiment here. So thankful for you. We'll just ink that up and stamp that down. Hold it there a second so that ink can transfer. And we have our beautiful sentiment. That font, she's a good one, right? Okay, so now we can start to layer some of these up. So we're just going to, here's our card base. We're gonna add our blending layer to this front layer. Okay, so we're just gonna grab our, I've got my silicone mat here. We're gonna need that in a moment. And I've got my liquid glue. So I'm just gonna take this and let's put our liquid glue on there. And we'll just center this layer up. It almost looks like the Wink of Stella dots on here with that blending brush behind it. It gives it almost like a watery, water spot kind of a look with that little bit of glitter in there. Really makes it shine, right? Clean and simple cards, I think, are so easy to look at, and everybody is always wowed by them. So then this layer, we'll flip this over, and I'm just gonna grab my Stampin' Dimensionals. Where's my bowl? And my backing bowl, I call it, right? And we're just going to layer this up. Now, I don't like any collapsing on my layers, so I like to use a lot of our dimensionals here because nobody wants a collapsed card, right? So you'll see I'm gonna put them even on the in-betweens because I really want this to shine. And one in this corner here. And we'll do one more right there. All right, so we've got those. We've got our layer here. We can see which side we want. And then how I like to line this up is I look at this top edge of my card front, and I'm just looking left and right. See, I haven't pushed anything down yet. So I'm just kind of putting it at an angle to line that up left, right, and top so they're kind of even borders. And then I'm just gonna slowly kind of push this down to line that up. And then you see you've got your equal borders all around there. All right, so the next step is going to be adding these three die cuts to our card front. So that's where our silicone mat comes in. I like them to be a little bit kind of loose. They're not totally glued down onto the card front. So I use my silicone mat so that there's no gunky anything anywhere. And I'm gonna start with this kind of curly Q floral, kind of a leafy sprig, right? So I'm just kind of adding my glue to the edges there, and then we'll pick this up, and this one's actually going to go in the center, so that's why I started with this one. So I'm just kind of lining that up in what looks like about the center of my card. So pretty. I mean, it even looks pretty like that, right? This next one, I'm just going to go along the middle because I kind of want some of these little sprigs to be loose on the card front. All right, so we've got that one, and it's gonna go right here to the left. There we go. And then same thing with this last one. And the silicone mat just helps that I don't get glue everywhere, and I can just rub it off super easy if any gets on the mat. Once that dries, it'll come right off. I can just kind of rub it and all of it comes off. Add our third one here. There we go. All right, so before we add our sentiment, we're gonna move this up a second. Let's do our inside layer while we have our silicone mat here. So with our inside layer, we're gonna take this piece and we're gonna go white on white. And let me see if I can get this close, but do you see all of the Wink of Stella speckling? It just makes that look extra and beautiful, right? So this one, we're gonna put it on and have it hang off the edges, and then we will go ahead and trim. So this one, we really want glue on our entire die cut. So I'm just going to put glue on all of our leaf areas here. And I'm just kind of not squeezing, but spreading that glue out with the edge of my glue here. And then I'll pick this up. I'm gonna turn my silicone mat here because what I want to do is hang this off, but I don't want to get glue everywhere, right? So we're going to put this on with the glue side down and just go ahead and add, there we go. Add that and then press it down. Now it's hanging off, that's okay, that's what I want. And we're just gonna let that dry for a second before we trim off those little edges. All right, so while that is drying, we'll just kind of push this up for a second. I'm gonna bring in some of our white and gold twine. So pretty, it comes in a 2-pack. There's a black and white spool and there is a white I'm not a black and white. There's a black and gold spool, and there is a white and gold spool. So I'm just going to fold a piece in half, and I'm going to tie it into what I like to call a double bow, or what is called a double bow. All right, so this is a little small, so whenever that happens, I just untie it and pull my string a little more, because I want this one to be kind of bigger, because it's not acting as a bow in today's card. It's going to be more like a wispy kind of string, right? And so I just like to do it this way as a bow, because it's easier to hold, for me, to hold it together. So we're just going to snip that edge off, and then this other loop, we're going to snip it so we get those extra little strings. And then I'm going to kind of pull these left and right apart so that we can see. It doesn't really look like a bow anymore, even though I tied it into a bow, right? So I'm gonna bring this in and grab a mini glue dot to just kind of hold this in place. And at that center knot, I'm just going to pick up a mini glue dot right there, okay? And then I'm just gonna pull these back because I think they got a little out. And then right in the center of all of this, I'm just going to stick that down, kind of like I made a bouquet and I tied it with this bow, okay? And then I'm going to just fan these out a little bit, because I want them to be kind of sticking out through the edges, there we go, of my sentiment that we're gonna put right on top. So I'm gonna grab more of my Stampin' Dimensionals here. We're gonna add these right to just one on the left and one on the right. And we want the center of our sentiment here to be open, because it's gonna go over our messy bow here, our little knot that we've put there, okay? So we'll just add that right over. Now you can trim these if you want, but I kind of really like them to be loose and free. All right, so this is probably dry now, so I'm just gonna move my silicone mat. We're gonna flip this over, and anything that hangs over, any little leaves that hang over, we're just going to trim along those edges. And so now it almost looks like an embossed layer with that white on white. And we've just kind of zhuzhed it up with our Wink of Stella to give it that little bit of bling, right? So let's put this on the inside of our card here with some liquid glue. And then we will finish with some beautiful embellishments. One of my favorites, it's kind of a basic embellishment. It's called our iridescent pearls. They go so well when you're using white on white. It's just beautiful. Isn't that pretty? So we've got our inside layer, beautiful. We've got our outside layer. And now let's finish with some bling. So the iridescent pearl basic jewels, kind of a staple. You can also color these with your Stampin' Blends if you want some colored pearls. And so we're gonna put 5 of these on. So I'm gonna grab with my take your pick. My fingers are sticky with adhesive. Let's start with our little ones. There we go. All right, so we're gonna put 2, a small one and a bigger one right here. And then we're gonna put another bigger one up in this corner here. And we're gonna get 2 of the smaller ones. And just kind of put one here, oops, and one more right over next to our sentiment. So we've kind of got this triangle, right? We've got a triangle between these 3. We've got a triangle between these 3, just like that, right? And then just like that. So that triangle effect just helps the recipient's eyes to kind of go all over our card there. So there you have it, our clean and simple, beautiful elegant, right? There's the inside as well. Would be super great as a wedding card. If you wanted to change the sentiment, it could be birthday, thankful for you, sincere thanks, right? Any of our sentiments from this set would work, but any sentiments from other sets you might have might also work with that as well. So I hope you love this card. I loved this Fern Flora set when it came out and thought, wow, so many things that we can do with this fun set, right? So thank you so much for watching, for joining, for liking and sharing. I appreciate that. Every comment you leave, I read and reply personally to each one, and I'm really grateful for each of you for being here. So thanks so much, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.